I'm Lee Webb.
And I'm Rachel Webb, and we both grew up in Shelbyville, Kentucky.
I'm an ordinary business guy. 20 years ago, started a real estate business on Main Street in small town Kentucky, and never would have imagined that we'd be sitting here today talking about church planting.
We were living kind of what you would consider to be the all-American dream. We had our first child, we had just built a house, everything but the white picket fence. And then really at that point, God turned what we thought was our perfect life upside down.
One day I was sitting in church, and we loved our church, but I had this vision and this idea that there was 100 friends that we knew that weren't in our traditional church context. And so we just started dreaming and thinking about what would it look like if we went out to where they were instead of waiting for them to come to us.
Really, it started out of a love for Kentucky and a love for our hometown. We looked around and we saw that a lot of people that we cared about would never step foot into a traditional church.
So God built a team around us, and it was almost like the expectation and anticipation of what God was doing was so great and so big that it was like there was no way we were going to be able to say no to it.
Yeah, I mean, Lee didn't go to seminary. I didn't grow up thinking, oh, I really want to be a pastor's wife. Like, we need to be legitimate ministers. And we actually tried to go against it for a while. We thought, this is so weird. But really over time, God showed us that even where we were, even though we weren't formally trained, that He could use us in our everyday life. And I laugh because we started our church plant. We started out in a paint store, and then we met in our house for a while, and we ended up in elementary school.
We would never have imagined to be a part of something like starting a new church. That sounds really hard. It doesn't sound advisable, but it was what God called us to do. And through that new work, we were able to see God's faithfulness. And because of that, we became very bullish about church planting.
When I was in college, I was actually baptized at Southland, so I always had this gratitude and affection for the local church and specifically what it meant to me during that season in my life. But fast forward years down the road, we are comfy and cozy, so God's already unsettled us once and said, okay, I want you to help plant a church. Totally out of our comfort zone. And then we think, okay, this is good. We're seeing God work. We're seeing God change our community. So we start to settle in again. We've had a couple more kids, and then God totally shakes us up again. He made it clear that He wanted us to come back to Lexington, and there were just more and more opportunities that we could see in ministry, but also in friendship and in life, that we could help people and make an impact here.
Long ago, God put just a deep passion for Kentucky in our hearts. And we would ask each other, what could we do with our lives to leave Kentucky better than we found it? Planting churches is really an extension of the compassion and love of Christ, and a community of believers on mission that have a sense of belonging together can change Kentucky and the world forever.